On a cold night in April 1912, the largest and most luxurious ship in the world was moving silently across the Atlantic Ocean. Its name was Titanic. To many people, it was more than a ship. It was a symbol of human confidence, a floating palace, a miracle of engineering. Newspapers called it powerful. Passengers called it beautiful. Some believed it was almost impossible to sink. But the ocean does not care about human pride. A few days earlier, Titanic had left Southampton, England, on its first voyage to New York. For the rich passengers, it felt like a dream. They walked through grand staircases, elegant dining rooms, polished wood corridors, and glowing electric lights. They wore fine clothes, listened to music, and enjoyed a world of comfort floating above the sea. But below them, in the lower decks, another world existed. Families, immigrants, workers, and dreamers were traveling in third class. Many had sold everything for this journey. They were not chasing luxury. They were chasing hope. America meant a new beginning, a new job, a new home, and a life better than the one they had left behind. On the same ship, there were two different worlds. One world was full of wealth, the other was full of dreams. And both were sailing toward the same darkness. For the first few days, the voyage seemed peaceful. The sea was calm. The sky was wide. The ship moved like a city across the water. Passengers wrote letters, children played, couples walked on deck, and the orchestra played music. But far ahead, in the freezing North Atlantic, danger was waiting. Ice warnings had been sent from other ships. They reported icebergs in the area. But Titanic continued moving forward. The ship was fast, powerful, and trusted. The night was dark. The sea was unusually calm. There were no waves breaking against the iceberg to make it easy to see. Then, on the night of April 14, everything changed. A lookout stared into the darkness. Suddenly, a huge shape appeared ahead. Iceberg, the warning bell rang. The message was shouted. The crew tried to turn the ship. For a few seconds, hope and disaster stood face to face. Then, Titanic struck the iceberg. It was not a dramatic explosion. It was not a giant crash like people might imagine. It was quieter than that. A long, terrible scrape along the side of the ship. Many passengers barely noticed it. Some felt only a small vibration. Some came out of their rooms, curious but not afraid. At first, Titanic still looked alive. The lights were still shining. The rooms were still warm. The music had not yet stopped. The great ship still seemed powerful. But deep below, cold seawater was rushing in. The iceberg had opened the ship's side beneath the waterline. Compartments began to flood. Engineers, officers, and crew members soon understood the truth that passengers did not yet know. Titanic was sinking. The order was given to prepare the lifeboats. But there was one terrible problem. There were not enough lifeboats for everyone on board. The ship carried over 2,000 people, but the lifeboats could only hold about half of them. Suddenly, class, wealth, confidence, and pride meant nothing. The ocean was rising. Families were separated. Mothers held children close. Husbands helped wives into lifeboats, not knowing if they would ever see them again. Some passengers refused to believe the ship was really sinking. Others waited too long. Some lifeboats left before they were full because confusion and fear had taken over. The wireless operators sent distress calls into the night. Help us. Far away, ships heard the messages. But help was too far. The closest rescue would not arrive in time. As the bow of Titanic sank lower, the stern rose higher into the freezing night. The beautiful ship, once called unsinkable, was now breaking under its own weight. The lights flickered. The deck tilted. The music faded into the sound of panic, prayers, and the cold Atlantic wind. Then, in the early hours of April 15, Titanic disappeared beneath the ocean. For a moment, there was only darkness. More than 1,500 people were lost. Some were rich, some were poor. Some were crew members. Some were children. Some had names history remembers. Many had names the world forgot. But every one of them had a story. When the rescue ship Carpathia arrived, it found lifeboats floating in the cold morning light. Survivors sat in silence, wrapped in blankets, staring at the empty sea where the greatest ship in the world had vanished. The world was shocked. How could this happen? How could the strongest ship disappear on its first journey? How could human confidence fail so completely in front of nature? Titanic became more than a disaster. It became a warning. After the tragedy, maritime safety rules changed. Ships needed enough lifeboats. Wireless communication became more important. Ice patrols were created to watch the dangerous waters of the Atlantic. But the deepest lesson was not only about ships, it was about pride. Titanic reminds us that human beings can build amazing things, but we are never stronger than nature. It reminds us that luxury cannot save us, technology can fail us, and confidence without caution can become dangerous. The Titanic was called unsinkable, but on that night, the ocean proved otherwise.